Hi, Project Impact Scholars. It's Rob joining you for another one of our career growth modules. This is my personal favorite, the one that we talk about making your value statement. Many of you are completing your certificate this semester and will be starting to look for work this upcoming week. Others who are completing your certificate this summer, you should start coming up with this value statement as well, because you might still be doing some refinement of some of those skills that help validate some of these strengths that you see in yourself that make you different from other candidates, that make it so that when an employer reads your cover letter or looks at your LinkedIn profile, they understand what it is that you can bring to their team that nobody else can. And that is going to be what gets you that job interview, which is really that first step in getting into this new career that you've already worked so hard to get into. So what we're talking about today, again, is making our value statement. So what is your value statement? Consider a Venn diagram that's coming in from multiple different areas that you've developed skills or perspectives. This visualization shows between things like work and education, life experiences, and passions. Understand that the overlap that you have with others in any two of those areas is oftentimes very minimal. So between work and education and life experiences, perhaps you and another individual share a third of the same experiences. When you're talking about your passions and life experiences, maybe it's even lower than that. Maybe it's only 20% that you share. When you combine all of these things together, in the middle of that, an overlap that possibly can exist is just you. Your experiences, your background, what you can bring to an organization is truly unique. And that's what we'll be looking to bring into the light through this module and our work together. What does a value statement look like? I've given some examples here. First one is, with my experience working in multiple healthcare fields, I can advocate for your clients like few else can. I know how communication falls apart between clinicians and patients because I have seen it firsthand. I have fought for patients to not be blamed for poor health outcomes. Highlighted here, I can be a bridge between your clients and healthcare organizations so that everyone benefits from more effective communication. Here's another example. My passion for helping returning citizens is more than a career to me. It's my life's goal. My community is one of very few residential options for those previously involved in the justice system. The frustration and despair faced by these individuals requires compassion and patience. I have developed trust-making skills with returning citizens that enable me to identify their full needs and to have instructions followed closely. Highlighted, your organization can more effectively support our justice-involved neighbors with me on your team. And this final example, I am someone who doesn't see a barrier as a reason to give up. After I was laid off during the COVID-19 crisis, I saw an opportunity. I found a new job as an essential worker to bring people resources when they couldn't do it themselves. I didn't give up on my education when my program's internship opportunities had to be canceled either. I started volunteering at a local clinic because I had to help any way I could. I found online trainings to help continue learning skills, and I put together a presentation on how to keep safe during the crisis. There is likely more change to come, and highlighted, I can bring perseverance to your team. Think about the themes involved with each of these statements that were made. The first statement, I know the system. I'm the person who can help bridge that gap between healthcare providers and patients because I've been there. Again, I know the system. That's my value statement I'm making there. The second one, I know your audience. Many organizations are looking for this. They're looking for somebody who can encourage clients to both participate in programming, but then also follow through on instructions that are given. And finally, I go beyond to get the work done. I've heard from many of you that you don't have a lot of work experience. That doesn't mean you don't have a value statement. You do. So many of you got into a lot of the programs that you're in because of your passion to help others. Talk about your perspective. Talk about the community that you come from. Talk about the compassion that you've developed, the patience. Think about these key words within it and talk about how you yourself have persevered to the point where now you are ready to enter this field. You've completed training and education that enables you to do this work, but then also all of your background and who you are matters to that organization. Bring that out into the light. What you're going to be doing is reflecting on your strengths and what you are proud of. Think about a couple value statement do's. This one we just heard from a student earlier this week in our office hours. Think about something that you'd put on the fridge. That's something that you're proud of, something that you'd like other people to see, something that when you walk by it on a daily basis, it reinforces who you are as a person and tells you that you want to keep at it. Also, some value statement do's is land the plane. You notice that these value statements were 3, 4 sentences long. You don't want to lose the reader by telling too long of a story. You want to provide a couple of examples, but then quickly get to that highlighted portion at the end. That is that real value statement. That is what differentiates you from other candidates. But also consider that you want to be flexible to adjust the language of your value statement based on the specific organization you are applying to. Let's consider that example of the value statement related to returning citizens. There's likely a way for that to be reworded to include supporting community members in general within a certain area. Some value statement don'ts. Do not try to diminish the abilities of others. While you can say things such as, I can bring something that your team might not have, don't criticize the work that might already be being done by that organization. You never know who's on the team that's deciding who to select for an interview, and you don't want to offend anybody in that way. Another value statement don't is try to create a strength that's based on what you think others are looking for. Don't create a strength for yourself. Look for a strength that you have. If you're trying to mimic what you believe the industry is looking for, it's going to be quickly sussed out in an interview if you are able to get one with a value statement that maybe doesn't match your skill set. They'll quickly see that you might not be advocating on behalf of yourself in an authentic way. Be real, be yourself. And lastly, don't assume your value statement can work for all jobs or employers in your field. This is so important when you're in your job search. You are not trying to shoehorn yourself into every possible job. You're trying to find the right job. And you're trying to find the right organization who matches your values and who can benefit the most from your employment there. A job search is as much about you finding the right fit as it is for the employer finding the right person. So consider that our value statements can come from unique places. The example that I shared at the beginning was related to work and education, life experiences, passions. It can also shift based upon every individual, what kind of percentage you're adding into your value statement. Here we're looking at somebody who's really focused on the overlap between their passions and their work. Maybe not bringing in as much of their life experiences into that into that value statement. For some others, you might be focused on different variables such as education, already discussed before, but then also adding in something like community involvement and family. So your value statement can pull from these areas as well. How about hobbies, research that you've done, mentors that you've had? These are all great examples to include in a value statement if it is something that is truly a strength of yours. If you're one of our cybersecurity students and you like tinkering around with devices, it's a great thing to discuss in your value statement. If you've had a mentor who's really changed your life and is somebody who you feel you can continue to tap for support moving forward even, that's something to include too. Let's recall from one of our first modules, transferable skills. So those transferable skills are things like your education, your volunteering, your work experience, your community engagement, and how they overlap with the duties of the job that you want. You're going to work on converting these transferable skills into your value statement. In this metaphor, consider your transferable skills to be the paint, and your value statement truly should be a work of art. Every value statement is going to look different And every value statement is going to pull in from different areas more or less. Painting is not great just because it utilizes all of the colors, or is not great because it only utilizes one or two. It's all about how it's put together. If you're only pulling in from two areas, that's fine. You're just looking to do more shading then to talk about those overlaps and how it's going to relate to the field that you're looking to apply to. Remember that we have common words that we found in job descriptions. This example here is through phlebotomy, that you'll want to sprinkle in throughout your value statement. When we talked about being flexible about your value statement and how it's written, consider some of these key words to input in. It's important because then that really helps to help the hiring managers and the teams that are deciding who to interview to see the overlap of what you're trying to show in your value statement, to show that you are going to be somebody who can bring something to their team because they'll quickly understand how it relates to collecting specimens or maintaining a clean laboratory. And most importantly, in this example, being patient-centric. Where are you going to use your vision statement? Two extremely easy places to put it. One, your LinkedIn profile. Another one is your cover letter. And as we start talking about cover letters in the next week or so, you'll see that your value statement is really the theme of your entire cover letter. Your value statement cuts across all of the examples that you share. The examples are there within a cover letter essentially to validate that value statement, to bring the reader back to what it is that you can bring to their team that nobody else can. And again, differentiate you from other candidates so that you can get that interview. This is adding a lot of the career building blocks that we've discussed so far. So we're talking about how your interests fit into a value statement, how your values go into there. Consider also your preferred lifestyle and personal priorities, because those fit into your value statement, because that is part of how you're differentiating yourself from others, especially if you're talking about something like having a strong work ethic or being extremely passionate about serving the population that your organization that you're applying to specializes in. So we're almost there on hitting on all these blocks. Again, in the next week or so, we'll be going a little bit more into cover letter development, but then also on some of these interview skills that are going to really help get you to that role after you've gotten the interview. What we're doing right now is we're trying to get you the interview. We're writing these strong cover letters. We're getting that LinkedIn profile. Next, we'll talk about what you do in that interview that wows the hiring manager and the team asking the questions and tells them, I need to hire this person. We're available over this entire month of May for job search support. So Aaron Wisman from our career services and myself will be on twice a week to be going over cover letters, resumes, LinkedIn profiles, one-on-one. We're going to help you to craft those value statements, to write those cover letters. We're on your team for it. You're not alone in this job search. And the more that we can know about you and the more that you share with us, the better output you'll have for these job applications. And I promise you, the less anxious you'll feel about this entire search, because you will be knowing that you're on the right track, you're doing the things that you should be doing, and that you are representing yourself accurately to employers. So that concludes this week's module. Those of you that are completing this semester, I can't stress more, get in touch with us throughout the summer. We are available for you to get you jobs. So you're completing your academic portion, but that's not where Project Impact lets off. We're there for you until you get that career that you've earned by doing this work. So thank you and good luck on your finals.